You cannot fully heal if you're not willing to get a little woo-woo. And I know it's a weird word to say, woo-woo, but this is a fact. Like, I know we talk about gluten and dairy and skin and brain and gut, and all of it is important. Of course it's important. I talk about it all the time. But if you're not dealing with your mind, your spirit, your soul at the same time as you're dealing with, the shell here, it's just not going to work, especially if you've been sick for a really long time, because you kind of get stuck in that illness. You need this episode. And if that's not enough, not exciting enough, you should know that I'm also going to tell you a story in this episode about me and my past life regression experience. And of course, you don't want to miss that one. Today, we're going to be talking to Michele. She is a mindset coach, hypnotherapist with almost 24 years in private practice. I've actually had several sessions with her, and she is amazing. She comes from a psycho-spiritual approach, so psychology and spirit approach, and she helps people dismantle limiting beliefs and awaken their innate potential. I love that so much. She specializes in hypnosis, past life regressions, you're not going to want to miss that, and other different therapies. So let's jump in and have fun. Oh my goodness, I am so excited to have you here. You have no idea.
I'm excited too.
Thank you for being here. I have to give everyone a little bit of background of how I know Michele, because sometimes I have guests that I've been on their podcast. I'm like, there's just a million ways to reach, but Michele this is a personal connection, and I like to share my audience a personal connection. So I'm sorry, we're going to jump in a moment and let you talk, but here's the short end of it. I went on this retreat with my wife, and I was dead set against. I never even believed in past life regressions. It was like the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of in my life. And so she wanted to go, went to this retreat. I don't even know if you know this whole story, Michele. So she wanted to go.
I'm listening closely. I want to know.
It was with is David Weiss? Daniel Weiss?
Brian. Oh, okay.
Brian
it was with Dr. Brian Weiss.
The most famous. See, I still don't know his name. It's like the most famous person when it comes to past life regression. Anyway, we go to this retreat. Everybody in the world is coming to hear Dr. Brian Weiss. I've never heard of him. And as far as I'm concerned, this is just a room full of crazy people, and I don't care. And I told my wife, you do your thing. And when we're done, we're just going to go out for dinner because I'm not really interested. And there's like 300 people in the room. And I go lie down on the back. It's the end of the week, and I just don't care. And I'm just lying down. I'm going to take a nap. And he starts talking. And then I get up after like an hour, and I'm like, what the F just happened? And she's like, nothing happened. I'm like, no, I just had a past life regression. I wasn't even listening to this man. Anyway, fast forward, this is a 3-day retreat. Fast forward to the next day, I'm on stage with this man. He picks me from the crowd, and he tells my wife, the reason you're here is to bring her here. Okay.
Oh my God.
Holy cow. The whole weekend, right? I went from, I'm not even interested in being here, to becoming the mayor of this retreat, So we come back from this retreat, and I'm like, I have to do this again. This was such a powerful experience. It got me reconnected to my profession. I was feeling a little burnt out. It got me really connected to my profession again, really connected to helping people because it's something that I've done in past lives, really connected to my wife, who has been with me in several lives. And I was on a search, and I Googled, and that's how I found Michele. This was years ago. And then I've worked with her, my wife worked with her, my son worked with her. And so now we're here. That was the longest intro ever in the history of intros.
Not really. I love that. I can really picture that. And I love the fact that it was so spontaneous, and you went in there not necessarily believing, but not necessarily skeptical, but on some level you must have been open, or the experience would not have happened. And on some level, subconsciously, you needed to have that experience. And obviously, look where it's led you, and look where it led, your wife as well. And so I just love that. Past life regression, right? People think it's this woo-woo thing. And for me, it's a legitimate therapeutic modality. Like, it can have deep and lasting, we can do deep emotional work with past life regression, because it's the missing piece of why people don't heal sometimes, because they're not looking at themselves from that sort of psycho-spiritual level. And what are we carrying? What traumas, fears, patterns are we carrying from past lives that are still affecting us?
So this is amazing. Tell the audience a little bit about what is past life regression.
Yeah. I'm happy to do that. And, you mentioned Dr. Brian Weiss, and I did train with him many moons ago now, which I feel so blessed because his good name, I get to ride on his coattails in the most wonderful way. A lot of people find me because they find him first and start reading his books. But basically past life regression is, a therapeutic process where I help you, whoever comes to me, to remember your own past life. So it's not a reading. It's not me psychically telling you what your past lives have been, and even though that might be valuable as well. But it's me helping you. And the way we access the past life memories is basically to shift the position of your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, right? So we use some hypnotherapy and some garden variety relaxation techniques to help your analytical, egoic mind reposition more into the back seat and let your subconscious, your intuition, your soul come to the front. And you'd be surprised. You wouldn't be surprised personally, but many people would be surprised at how those memories of past lives, they are all there. They're encoded within you. You're not a blank slate. That hasn't been erased. All of those memories, they want to come forward. They're just waiting. And the past life memories are wisdom that wishes to speak with you. So when someone's on my couch in that nice resting state and they're more able to remember those past life memories, we explore them, not just for curiosity, but to connect the dots to this life. Then they can apply that into the future. So it's not just about the past, it's about their past informing their present. Let's improve the present by learning, then go forward from there. And people tell the tale of their past lives to me all the time. And it's amazing.
Can you give us an example of like someone who's stuck and then they did this and then what they saw and how that unstuck them?
Yeah. I mean, yes, because I can give you some, I think, general.
No. Sure.
It's hard to, I do so many that sometimes I wish more of them stood out, just, like a little bit more, but basically how they may become unstuck potentially. And by the way, we always start with an intention, right? A goal, a desire. So that informs their subconscious mind. And most 99.9% of the time, you get what you need from that. Yeah. What happens often is people have catharsis, right? They remember in their past life, they're aware that it's not happening now, but they revisit the emotion that they felt then that probably got suppressed, right, and got blocked or didn't get resolved, didn't get processed at the time. And so they have the memory of that time. Here comes the emotion because it's an emotionally laden memory. Once they have the tears of that or the fright of that or whatever it is, and they process that, they report back to me most of the time that they feel lighter right away. And that often it's not a thing anymore. It's a non-issue for them. Again, there's no guarantees, of course, no guarantees or promises, but a lot of the time, sort of it works a little bit like psychotherapy works, where you explore the past, your childhood perhaps, from different angles with someone who's a professional, with someone who's not judgmental, with someone who's objective, right?
Yeah.
And that helps us, when we do that, that helps us to move on from the past. So does that make, or people might discover why they have a fear of abandonment because they go back to a past life and they realize, oh my gosh, I literally was abandoned by my parents, or my husband never came home from the Civil War. And from then on, I always had these, and we connected, like those are examples as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. And the reason I bring this, so my audience is mostly people who are in functional medicine, they're struggling with their health. And we talk a lot about nutrition and supplements and sleep, all of which are important. But there's this huge component of stress, mindset that can really block your progress, especially if you're stuck. Some of my clients are stuck in illness. Like we're doing all the right things, but they're stuck in illness. And this could be a tool that can be used. There's a lot of tools, the central nervous system work, but this could be such a wonderful tool. But it seems to me like more and more people are fearful and traumatized more than ever. Is that what you feel also? And if so, like, why is this happening?
Yeah, I would sort of say that. And just from observing and the fact that I work with people, I mean, I guess the other side of that is more people are more willing to reach out for help, certainly as well. And in general, I'm a very hopeful and optimistic person, and I believe that everyone can heal, often with the right support, right? And we have the ability to heal ourselves. But I would say that there, certainly people get more triggered more easily than ever, and they have hair triggers. Like they're walking around on edge. Many people, not everybody. And the reasons for that are multiple. There's a number of reasons, lots of factors. It's the mental, emotional things absolutely that happen in people's past, real things, accidents and losses and abuse and neglect and, all of those kinds of things. And then there's more of the energetically and intuitively, we're picking up. Right? We're like sponges energetically. And we live in this world where we're bombarded with a lot of stuff around us. Even if it barely registers on our conscious mind, it registers in our energy system. And so again, if we don't clear and process that every day, it lodges in there and that festers and that brings our vibration down. And that's the energetic model of why illness, right? Or disease or chronic stress can potentially happen. And then there's this sort of metaphysical lens. We can look at it through so many different lenses, why people are fearful and why they're traumatized. And the metaphysical lens sort of says that we're just in very trying times, and it seems like things are speeding up and very intense for all of us. And we all have this existential fear, right? And this sort of universal trauma, and so I think that that's always in the background for all of us as well. So there's all of these underlying reasons that we're not necessarily aware of. And like you were just saying, it's what we don't know that can hurt us, right? It's what we're not aware of that is creating dissonance and disruption in our system that creates illness.
Something occurred to me as you were saying that. So one of the things I talk about with toxins, we've evolved or modernized so quickly and have developed so many chemicals so fast, but our pathways to detoxify them have not grown or evolved as fast. And so we're left with the same pathways that we had 50 years ago, having to manage so many more toxins. And it occurred to me as you were speaking, that's kind of the same thing. Everything is so much faster now with social media and the news and podcasts and internet. And so you were getting all this information from all, and also higher expectations. You need to have a great career and have your amazing kids and an amazing relationship, and your body has to look a certain way. And like, do you get all this messaging everywhere? But we haven't evolved enough to process all this at the same time. It's overload, right? Like, and so that's so interesting to look at it from that perspective. I never saw that parallel. And so now we have this overload, and then just like we are toxic from actual toxins, we also become toxic and lodged. And by the way, being toxic means that those things are lodged in your fat cells. And so what you're saying is also that these get lodged spiritually, and we need a process to detoxify from them.
Yeah.
That's fascinating, and it's like...
Yeah, absolutely. Everything, emotions are things and stress is a thing. They're not invisible. They're, and toxins are things. So, they have energy, they have life. Therefore, we're always taking in and we're always expelling constantly. And we have to get really good. We have to get better. We want to get better at being resilient and bouncing back, but we want to get better almost on a daily basis of letting go what doesn't serve us. Like, what happened today? What did I pick up on today? That, we just sort of really, really ground ourselves in, I'm not carrying that any further. And I believe that the most power is in the mind when we make those clear decisions.
Is that what you mean when you say a mindful mindset?
Yeah, that's definitely part of what I mean by that, is like having a relationship, having a conscious relationship with our minds. Mindfulness in general is a state of reverence, right? A state of reverence in the moment. It's cultivating a state of awe and wonder for things exactly as they are. But it is also being a little bit of the observer, the witness, the neutral, detached witness, like a camera lens, and being able to both be in the world, engaged in the world, and at the same time be sort of in the audience of ourselves. I think that the more, if we can master that, I think that thriving in life, right, is equal to how our relationship to our mind, mastering our emotions and mastering our mind, in doing that in such a way that it is a adventure.
And so are there like basics that we can know of how to get a mindful mindset or like some tools?
Yeah, absolutely. So, mindfulness again is something that we cultivate. And I think the first kind of key principle here is to recognize that we're not our thoughts. Like, I know that sounds pretty basic, but the idea that, our thoughts and our beliefs and the narratives, the stories that tend to run through our mind are a little bit like tapes. They're conditioned, a lot of them, right? We took them on, we put them on as a persona, and there's nothing right or wrong about that at all. We are all human beings, but the more we can sort of maybe dismantle. So what tools would we use for that, right? We want tools, first of all, that help our minds to slow down, like, mindful breathing, certainly, or mindful walking, or, mindful stretching and things like that. And then we can certainly use tools that help to rewire our mind a little bit, like affirmations and intention setting, and journaling and things like that, but really any meditation technique is wonderful, right? To help us, like you said, get out of that stress, fight, flight, freeze response and into more of that relaxation response. Then we're more in the position to be able to loosen some of those old beliefs.
Loosen some, I like that. I love that. One of the things I tell my clients, and I wrote down, I always take notes when everyone talks, so I remember to come back to it. One of the things I tell my clients is, they'll say, oh, some days I'm so good on my nutrition, then I completely fall off the wagon. And when they're off, there's a lot of beating up. Like, I shouldn't do this, and I should do this, and I'm so terrible, and I'm never going to get this right. And so I say to them, like, this is like a cycle, like that you just need to observe. And we all have them, right? And it's just a cycle. And when you start observing the cycle, as you said, without judgment, I'm not saying shame on me for thinking this way, and you start distancing yourself from it, you start recognizing that sentence, you are not your thoughts. It doesn't even make sense. What do you mean you're not my thoughts? I'm thinking my thoughts. What do you mean I'm not my thoughts? No, it's just literally just one narrative that happens to play in your head. And when you observe it as not your inner voice, just a thoughts, and you distance yourself from it, you actually gain so much perspective. This is something that I've learned over time as well. And I could see it in my clients when they're able to just put it here and just say, oh, this is the thing that I do. Now I'm here. This is when I feel like I'm on point and I'm crushing it. And now I'm here where I feel like I'm the worst person in the world because I ate a brownie. And then I'm here and I'm crushing it again, right? And so it's like, okay, that's your thing that you do. And none of it is anything. It's just your thing that you do, that you go through. It's like a cycle you go through. I love that. And then you mentioned breathing, mantras, intent setting, journaling. And these things seem to feel very, very basic, and they are. And that is what we want. It does not need to be complicated. I can't tell you how many times I have clients who come in like in my primary care and they're talking, and I was like, and we're just going to take a deep breath right now. And then they're like, why is I came here for a physical. Why are we doing a deep breath exercise? Because chemically, vaguely in your nerve, like what is happening when you take a deep breath, it's so basic, and it calms down heart rate and it calms down everything. So like, yeah, take a deep breath. It doesn't have to be, you don't need to wear all white and go into the trees. And journaling and mantras, it's just like playing tennis every day, golfing every day. You get good at it when you repeat it. It is supposed to be basic.
Yeah.
I love that. The intent, setting the intent. Before you walk into work, setting the intent before you go into a meeting that maybe you're not 100% sure is going to go a certain way. Setting the intent for your meal. How am I going to eat? So am I going to eat this meal? Or like, am I eating this while I'm watching Netflix? Because that's the intent is really to watch Netflix. Am I eating, like everything? When you set the intent, it's the most basic things over time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that why we get so stressed is because we start focusing on what we don't want. All day long, we focus on what we don't want to experience, what we want to push away, what we want to exclude in our experience. And we forget in those moments to simply turn it around, to simply reframe it, and state the positive, what you want to include into your experience. And then there's sort of this, by law of attraction sort of principle that, what you speak into existence, what you dominantly vibrate, including your words, will become so for you. And so it is very simple. And I love that the simplest truths are the most powerful, that it's not really all that complicated. Of course, we're all very complex, beings, but it works for me, at least. I use it myself all the time when I notice, oh my God, for the last 30 minutes, I've been wallowing hello, Michele, you've been wallowing. You've been repeating your sorrow story and, oh, woe is me, and what's wrong and what's broken, and, and how bad it all is. And then I stopped, whoa. I mean, just set your intention. And, there's this idea of segment intending. Like, stop periodically throughout the day and do it again. Set your intention again for the next 5 minutes or the next hour or the next 2 hours, right?
Oh, I love that segment.
So it's a reset.
It's a reset because you forgot what you said in the morning. That's for sure. Especially when we had like an aggravated client or something. That is so interesting. But also 2 things I want to say. One, someone taught me once that if you are wallowing and you want to wallow, give yourself a time limit. Say, okay, I'm going to wallow this. I'm going to, wallow in self-pity for the next 10 minutes. And there's something magical that happens. First of all, you probably don't even stay the whole 10 minutes because it's already becomes absurd. But it also gives you the space to feel the feels, because sometimes you just need to feel the feels. But then we're done. Like that is done.
There's something about that, giving ourselves permission, that then we say, well, I don't really need it anyway.
I don't need it.
Really,
yeah, exactly.
I thought I did, but the permission, something in that. And we definitely want to say to your audience, like, it's okay not to be okay.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So.
In fact, I'm glad you said that. In fact, it's so okay not to be okay that you really do want to feel the feels. I think one of the reasons it lasts longer is because we're trying to like not feel it. All right, let me get it together. Okay, I don't want to cry. I don't want to do this. So like the more we suppress it, the actually longer it lasts. If you could just feel the feels, give yourself permission to like, yeah, that was a pretty horrible thing that happened. We could feel the feels for it. I think that's...
You have to feel it to heal it. I always tell people.
Feel it to heal it. I feel like that should be on a t-shirt.
All right, don't bypass it. Don't try to jump over it. You kind of have to go through the wall of emotion to get to the other side of it.
Yes. So, wow, I love that. You have to feel it to heal it. I love that. And then the other thing you said is like when we spend the whole day in negative or what I don't want, you can't attract a not. You can't attract, like, let's just try, you don't want to be stressed. All you did was invite stress.
Correct, because you're picturing it as you're talking about it to yourself.
And also the universe doesn't hear a don't. It just hears...
Doesn't process negation.
Yeah. So if you say, I don't want stress, it's very different than saying, I would want to be relaxed.
It's so interesting that we have to almost... I find a lot in my sessions with clients, that's a lot of what I'm doing, is educating people reteaching them how to use their words, because when we ask them what their goals are, they usually put it in the negative.
Yeah.
It just tends to be our default, not for everyone and not all the time, but for a lot of people, like they can't fathom, they can't grasp. They need me to, like, would you like me to give you some words? And if you like these words, you can use them, but you can also come up with your own words to help them turn it around to say, what do you want? I want, well, if I'm in pain, I don't want pain. No. So, okay, I get that. I want freedom. I want pleasure. I want comfort. Simple turnaround. And you can feel it as you say it. And then, like you're saying, it manifests.
You could feel it when I even now, as an example, when I said I don't want to feel stressed, I felt stressed. And then when I say I want to feel relaxed, like just saying the word, I'm already relaxed. It's I don't want pain. You already start noticing all the pain. Where I want freedom of movement. Already just changes everything. It's amazing.
Absolutely. It snowballs. It snowballs. And they say if you can hold a positive thought for something like, I don't know, 18 seconds or some number actually, then it's more likely that the next thought will also be positive, like a chain link. And then the next thought, and it gets easier and easier once you sort of get started with that. But people will say affirmations don't work, or saying positive things don't always work. And the reason behind that is you do need to put a little oomph behind it. You need, as much as you can, conjure and embody what that, act as if, as you're saying it. But all of this is meant to be fun. I'm really saying, right?
Affirmations didn't work. Why do we constantly affirm our children? Why are we constantly saying, good job? Amazing. You're so smart. You're so beautiful. Say that to our children all the time because we know we're building them. Imagine if we said, oh my God, that was terrible. That was the worst thing. Can't believe you missed that ball. Such an idiot, right? There's no way but yeah, we do that to ourselves all the time.
Oh my God, we hypnotize ourselves.
Yeah. All the time.
We do. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes.
All the time. So we want to, as much as people are wonderfully aware of when they're doing that to their children more often these days. There's, thank goodness, more awareness around how much words matter, with children. But we don't do it enough with ourselves, even as an adult. Like, we continue throughout our entire lives to sort of need to revisit that. We need to hear it from our own minds, telling ourselves, hey, you're doing great. You can do this.
You could do this. Yeah, exactly. Talk to yourself the way you would talk.
Talk to yourself. It's the most sane thing you'll ever do.
You'll ever do. And there's something else that, like, I think, and I would love to hear your opinion on this, extrapolates from this negative self-talk. I feel like, so I have some clients who, let's just say, struggle with sleep. And one of the things that happens is a lot of technology out there that helps you monitor your sleep. And now this monitoring is giving them evidence that they're not sleeping. Right? They wake up and they're like, oh, I saw my thing. My thing says, oh, I only had 2 hours of, I don't even know what the heck it meant. 2 hours of REM and blah, blah, blah. And one of the things I said to this particular client, I said, I don't think that this is actually serving you because you're mounting evidence of negative. So, like, you have no shot. You have no shot out of this. And sometimes I feel like we, in our effort sometimes to think that we're improving, we're actually documenting and creating evidence that's never going to let us improve. Does this make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. It only works to an extent, to focus on the problem, but not focus on the problem exclusively. Just identify it. That's all we really need. Like, we already know where the problem is. We don't really need to keep reinforcing it and doubling down on it, because you're right. Then we do become a little hyper vigilant on that. And, sometimes people wrap their whole identity around their problems or around their illnesses.
Yes. Yeah.
And once you get to the point where you sort of like, this is who I am. I am my insomnia. I am my cancer. I am my diabetes. Then you're dealing with, you really takes longer to chip away at that, because you have to really redo, your identity. And so, you're right. We don't want to get too married to any problem, in that way. So if I was working with someone who has sleep issues, and I do work with them, we certainly go through, what's going on for you. But in the hypnosis, it's going to be, wow, imagine how it feels, how delicious it is to put your head on the comfy, cozy pillow every night and just drift right off into the deepest, soundest, longest, uninterrupted sleep that you've ever had. And boy, you wake up you can feel it now, so refreshed. You bound out of bed full of it, like, so descriptive, right?
Yes.
Emotive words. There's no big mystery here. Like, it's not a big secret. Like, just piling and stacking the positive. Sometimes we don't do enough. We do like one little thing. Okay, I can sleep. No, but it needs to be more than that. You got to get creative with it.
Maybe I almost fall asleep with that one.
You were falling asleep.
I was like ready to hit, but then he said,
now you're wide awake.
That's so funny. No, it's interesting you said that. You said two things. I'm thinking of two clients, and hopefully they're listening, because I want them to have all the tools. One of them, we always do wins before we talk, and she's been struggling, and she's like, well, this week I lifted weights for the first time. I don't know if it was months and I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Sounds like you're getting better. I am not getting better. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. Isn't that interesting that I am not getting better? Like, there was like a visceral response of, I'm not getting better. What do you think? I mean, I know you don't know this, but look, what is that reaction about?
It's resistance. I mean, sometimes, it's interesting that we get in our own way, that we sabotage ourselves. But there's a psychological term called like secondary gain.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes when people are attempting to change a problem or really change themselves, they keep just reverting back to where, wanting to stay, because they feel like they're getting more reward from staying in the problem. Like, sometimes people give them a lot of attention, or they feel like people won't help me. They won't be around me if I don't have all of these problems.
It's subconscious, and not like this person.
It's subconscious.
Yeah. It's
not deliberate. It's not conscious.
No, it's not deliberate. It's not conscious. In fact, another client I'm thinking of actually brought that to light. She said, because she's just better. And she said, I have to learn how to navigate life in a different way, because there was a time where I could say, oh no, I can't attend this event. I'm not well. Now I have to find my voice and say, I can't attend this event because I don't want to attend this event, because I am well. And it was very interesting. It was very, very insightful of her to understand that she had to carry a new identity she's been sick for years, a new identity for herself, and realizing that it's a piece of getting better that I think we don't look at it enough, especially if you're unwell for so long. Your whole subconsciously, not with any malintent, your whole life becomes about it, because you're like, I can't go here. I can't eat this. I have to go to sleep by this. And like, you have to start making all these daily decisions around the illness. And it's very hard to let go of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And at some point, you're right, it becomes an excuse, or in the sense that we play small in the world. Sometimes we set ourselves up to play small, because if we dare to play big, there's big responsibility in playing big in the world. But the truth of the matter is, that's who we are by design.
Yeah.
I mean, I really believe that we're designed with endless, infinite potential. So the longer we deny that to ourselves and hold that back, all you're doing is you're denying yourself, right?
Yeah, you're denying yourself.
You're denying, and that's exhausting, and that's more backwards than
a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Bringing it. Yeah.
Yeah. It takes more energy to deny who we are and hold ourselves back than it just to face little fears and move forward and step into. I think we are here to shine. Each of us are here to shine and play big.
So if someone comes to you, what are some of the tools that you use with your clients? I think we discussed past life regression.
Yeah, past life regression is one, absolutely. If someone comes for some of this, what I call like mindset work, like mindset coaching kinds of work, then, we'll do maybe some tapping, some hypnotherapy, and some inner child work, and something, and visualization and guided imagery and breath work, and, goal setting, and, giving them some journaling homework. But I also do hands-on energy healing. I know you're familiar with like Reiki, and my own intuitive form of energy healing, which, again, helps people put aside their blocks and barriers to healing. And I also do shamanic journeying.
What is that? What's shamanic journeying?
Well, shamanic journeying is a process, based on, shamans use altered states to give guidance to people who need healing. I've learned this technique where we use drumming, repetitive drumming, to lull me and a person into a bit of an altered state. And then it sort of helps lead us into these sort of deeper realms and deeper states of consciousness where all of this wisdom comes through. So it's the same kind of thing. We set an intention. Instead of remembering a past life, we might say, what do my spirit guides have to tell me? Or what does my higher self have to tell me? And you don't need any particular belief system to do it. It's just sort of being open to that, to our own higher wisdom.
Well, I'm happy you said that. You don't need a belief system. This has nothing to do with religion. You have any religion or any faith to do that. I'm glad you said that in case it's...
Yes, you don't have to adopt any particular dogma or belief system. All of these, can be tailored to you and for wellness. These are just various...
yourself, to your inner self.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love this. So I have this question here, and I can't imagine, this seems like an intense question, but what are the keys to health and inner peace? This seems to be like the keys to the world.
The keys to I don't know how much time you got, right? Something's like, not like I have, all the answers or anything like that. But I think it's, the keys are that, and this speaks to, I think, a lot of what you're talking about here too, is basically recognizing that when we say mind, body, spirit, that it should be one word, mind, body, spirit, right? They are not, we want to recognize that they're not separate elements of who we are. They're not separate entities, and they don't function independently. So they are overlapping and integrated. So if we take care of our mind and nurture our spirit, whatever that means to us, then that's where you really begin to sort of align with that in the most healthy way. And then we sort of say that, the body is your mind in a physical form. Right? And that the body's wellness equates to your state of mind, your equilibrium, which really is inner peace. We could think of inner peace like a state of centeredness, right? A state of being self-referred, right? Being more self-referred from within. I'm in the world and I come from my inner place versus feeling like I need to react to everything that really is around me. And that's a little bit more what inner peace is. So I would just invite people, you're right, like to, when you're considering your health, to also consider your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, and whatever that means. And maybe, I guess, maybe that sounds too like what to people. Maybe a good place to start with that would be like radical self-compassion and unconditional self-acceptance.
That's insane.
What is that?
I said compassion towards yourself. That's insane.
Right. Exactly. I think everything stems from there, though. I think
Yeah.
that
The act
that
of self-compassion.
if you have that right, I think a lot of, our challenges in life, we can really circle it back to the quality of our love for ourselves, the quality of our self-acceptance, the quality of our compassion for ourselves, So it's sort of a corrective when we really, not that learn to love ourselves, but when that becomes a way of being for us, it's loving ourselves. It kind of takes care of a lot of the other things.
It does.
And yeah.
It does. And, I like that you said mind, body, soul is one word because, one of the things that I say in the physical realm is that it's all connected, right? Like you have the neurologist here and the GI here and the gynecologist here, and it's like these separate body parts, but hello, they're all connected and they're all affecting each other. And it seems revolutionary, but it's all connected. And I like that you connected mind, body, soul, and that you said like your body is what the physical manifestation of the mind. Is that what you said?
Yes.
That's amazing. Yeah. What a great idea. Like a great concept. Like the state of your mind is seen in like your flesh, like in your body. That's what an amazing concept, right?
We're like a walking, talking expression of our deepest mind.
So great. Because again, mental health, a separate office, insurance doesn't cover it. It's got nothing to do with physical.
Zip code. Yeah.
Right? It's for some reason, insurance says no mental health, no dental, and you can't have glasses or hearing aids. Those things don't count. And it's really funny, sad. But I think what's happened because of all these specializations and different offices is we started really thinking these things are not connected. And my job and your job is to remind people like it's all connected. It's all in one place, all connected.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all fluid.
All fluid.
One feeds into the other. And we have to be careful. What do we feed our minds? As much as what we feed our bodies, we want to be careful about that. Yeah.
But are we feeding our minds?
Right. And that's a good way to think of it. What are you letting into your mind? Because you're literally feeding it. Wow. Positive or with junk food thoughts.
I love that. Wow. I never considered that. I love that. Thank you so much for that. So what question or what is it that perhaps we didn't touch on that you really want our audience to know?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I'm not sure.
Not sure. Okay. I mean, maybe we touched on everything. That's fine. I just always want to make sure that maybe I forgot something, like, that I left something on the table. But if you feel we covered it, that's good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. So tell me, I mean, of course, I'm going to put all your links and everywhere, but how do people find you?
Well, they can go to my website, which is michelegranberg.com, and they can contact me through there, and all my information is there. And they can, find me on social media, again, by my name, Michele Granberg, anywhere you might find me.
Anywhere, yes. And of course, use all the links. And I encourage anyone who's on this journey to reach out to Michele or someone if you're not local, or I imagine you also do things virtually.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's all connected, and it's not just about going gluten-free and doing exercise and drinking the water. This is a huge, huge piece of it. So I encourage everyone to reach out.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I have to come back again for another past life regression.
Well, my door is open to you anytime, or anybody who would like to come and, certainly get more information or come try it.
Absolutely. I just want to say before we sign off that 2 things happened for me that were so edifying for my past life regression. The first, because in case people are like, what is this? Is it scary? First of all, it's not scary. It's amazing. But the first thing came out of it is that once I realized that my wife has been in many lives with me, it has changed the nature of our relationship, and I literally cannot argue with her.
Wow.
Because she did not have the same experience. But when something small happens, I'm like, been with you like so many lives, have so many more lives to go. Like, it's just changed it for me. Like, there is this certainty around our relationship, deep knowing that I didn't have before. So it's amazing.
I love that.
Thank you. And then the other thing was I was feeling at the time a little burnt out at work because, as providers, we are constantly giving. And I saw that in many lives, this is what I do. I take care of others. I saw myself in different times and taking care of others, whether it was feeding rows of children. Like, this has been my calling over time. And so then with that came a knowing, and it's like, you can't even fight it. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do in different variations. I've been doing it. I'm going to be doing it. And it's just like a sense of peace. I didn't go in for that. As you know, I didn't even know I was going to have any of these experiences. But just a sense of peace and the sense of knowing that carries me all the time. So I would never have gotten that. While other like modalities, therapy and things like also have its place to work through other issues, I would never have gotten that through just conventional forms. So
I love that.
So
Yeah.
doing these things because we need it.
Yeah, I'm so glad to hear that it's had this lasting effect for you, and that it has been really that profound. And that's very common for people as well, that they sort of gain such a different perspective that almost like they don't take life as seriously, and they let some of the pressure off themselves when they see from that higher perspective, like life continues, existence continues. I don't have to, it's not a race, you know, and I don't have to, you know, be perfect. You know, and no matter what happens, really, I don't know, it sort of all works out. It all works out. And I do want to tell people too, you're right, there's nothing to be frightened of if you do past life regression therapy, because at no given time do you ever not understand that it is a memory. There's no confusion, right? You remember that. Like when you're in it, I tell people anyway, but people get it, that, you know, you're having a memory recall, a life review. Right. So you're always able to know, like, I'm still here in the room in 2024.
Eyes if you want to.
Right. You can come out of it anytime. If anything, you know, I tell people you can come out of the experience anytime you wish. But when I give people permission, they never need to stop. I think I've only one time ever had someone want to just sit up and just stop out of thousands and thousands.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah. It's a great feeling. So anyway, I want to respect your time and give you your time back. I am so grateful that you took the time to talk to me and our listeners, and I hope people reach out to you. And thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you so much, Dr. E. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise. Talk to you soon.